So first of all, when we're going to create a revision schedule, we need to either create or buy a diary with space to write in. Now, it's personal preference. A lot of people these days work electronically, so you can use the calendar on your phone. You could buy a diary and then you could write in it. You could create a diary on Excel. You could use Google Calendars. It is personal preference as to how you create your revision schedule. So it depends whether you like seeing it written down on paper in front of you and you can tick it off as you go along, or you prefer having it electronic as a different page on your screen, and then you can refer to it so you know what you're doing as and when. So how you create it is up to you. What works for you is what is best. Here is an example of something that your planner might look like. So you can see on the left hand side I have got the time of the day. So it is useful to be able to have the times of the days down the left hand side so you can split your day up into exact hours, so you know what you are going to be doing at each hour in the day. Now, some people will prefer to start really early in the morning and then they go to bed earlier and then they don't work as late. Other people are not morning people and they get up later and then they do their revision later on into the evening past the time that I've got here. It is down to you what works for you. This isn't what you must do. This is an idea and you plan to work around your life. Along the top, you need the days. Okay, so you write down the days that you've got. You've got your weekends, Saturday and Sunday, then you've got your days of the week. And you'll need this schedule going from whenever you decide to start your revision schedule up until the date of your last exam. So you'll need one of these week by week all the way up until the date of your last exam. Once you've created a template, you will need to write in your exam dates. So on this template you've got, write in all the dates that you have for the exams and make sure they're nice and clear and they're highlighted so they stand out in a different colour to everything else, because these are the key points you are working up to. So you need to know when the exams are and you need to know whether it's a 9 o'clock exam or it's a 1 o'clock exam. So you need to know what time it is and what exam it is. So make sure you've written these on your planner. This is an example of what your timetable might look like when you've got some exams. Now, when you actually hit exam period, you're going to be pretty much exam, 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 exam. You could have 2 exams every single day if you're doing GCSE. When you come to A level, it will be more spread out. So you could have 2 exams one day, a day where you don't have an exam, and then you have another exam the next day. It depends on what level you're working at and what subjects you are taking and when those exams are. But you need to write down when all your exam dates are, something like what you can see here. So once you have filled that in, you're going to next write down when you are in school or when you are travelling to school. So this block of time, you are not going to be able to do any revision because you will be in school doing what your teachers are telling you to do. Unless you're a sixth form student, and then you have got time in the day where you could schedule in during the day if you have got lessons where you haven't got an actual lesson. So you can use your study periods to help you. So this is an example of what your timetable might look like. Now, ultimately, when you come up to the exam period, at some point you will be in study leave, and every school is different as to when you are allowed study leave or if you are given study leave. Some schools you are allowed study leave, other schools you aren't allowed study leave. So check with your school as to how it works at your school. So I'm assuming here that we are working right up until the exam dates and there is no study leave given, as some schools will have no study leave given. Other schools are given study leave, so you can see what you do if you do have study leave. I've done a mixture of both, showing you how you cope, whether you've got study leave or you don't have study leave. So write in when you're in school. So pretty much school starts probably about 9, maybe slightly earlier, finishes just after 3. And then you've got travelling time to school and travelling time after school. So make sure that is included in your planner. Here you're going to be in school for your exams, and then you've got study leave on this day between the days of exams. Next, we're going to write in any hobbies and meal times. So the most important thing for you is to know when you are going to be eating. When are you going to have your breakfast? When are you going to have your lunch? When are you going to have your dinner? And what activities do you do outside of school where you have to practice for whatever activity it is that you are doing? Do you do competitions in certain activities, or do you have to go to work? Have you got a job? What do you do outside of school? You need to include this into your weekly schedule. So this is an example of when you might be eating breakfast, lunch and dinner, doing activities and things. I haven't bothered writing breakfast on here because the day starts at 9 o'clock and I'm assuming you will have had breakfast before we even start on here. So breakfast would be right at the top all the way along here. So you might do some kind of activity. So it might be a swimming club, you might have a job, you might do a different sport, or you might have a different activity that you participate in, that it's a commitment every week that it just can't be changed unless something happens. So these are commitments that you do outside of school, and I put all of these in green for you. So you can see we've put dinner time on here. Dinner time is pretty much the same I've just put, but sometimes your dinner time might change. You might have another club, or you might be working. Same here, and then over on the right hand side I've got tennis club, or you might have a job, depending on when you work or how many hours you do, if it's a job or if you are in a club. So make sure you include this onto your planner so you know where you're going to be able to fit your revision in. Now we've got the basis for our plan, we're going to write in what subjects you are going to revise and when. So you need to know what subject it is that you're going to practice and when you're going to fit these slots into your daily plan. So here is an example of what your timetable might look like, and it is very different for each individual, so you've got to do what works for you. Some people might like to get up really early in the morning and they do their revision first thing in the morning and then they finish earlier at night, or other people might like to have a later start and then they work later in the evening. You've got to do what works for you and choose what is best for you. So this is just an example. I've got the times written down the side. You can see after I've done the swimming club or I've been out to work and done my job in the morning, I'm then going to come home and do some maths revision. Then I've got lunchtime, then I'm going to revise subject A, whatever subject that is. Then I've got my dinner time, then I'm going to revise subject B. Monday, Tuesday, we're in school for these days, and then when we come home from school, we've got subject B, dinner time, and then maths to revise. And then after school on the Tuesday, we've got subject A, dinner time, and maths to revise. Now, it is important that you look at what exam you have got when. So you can see here, I've got maths exam, paper 1. So I have done revision for maths on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, knowing full well I've got a maths exam on here. Subject A exam, okay, I have got a subject A exam coming up in the afternoon. So I've put a revision session here just before the exam, then one on the Tuesday and then one on the Sunday. Remember, you will have at least 3 subjects for A level, and then for GCSE you will have significantly more. So you need to work out how best to split your time up so you can be able to revise for all the subjects you need for the exam that you need and when you need it. Also, here I've got swimming club here, then I've got dinner, and then I'm going to revise subject B. We don't know when subject B exam is, it will be after this period. But this day here, between the 2 days, I have got study leave. Now I've put to revise some of subject B because that exam will still be coming up. Then I've got a lot of maths coming up here because it is a Friday and we know the maths exam is here. So pretty much up until this exam here, I've got revision for the maths exam, but it's coming up because there's only one exam on this day. This period here could be still at home because you then just come in for your exam. It depends on the rules of the schools as to what they allow, whether you've got to be in school for revising here or whether you come in just for your exam. Then after school on Friday, we've got a club, then we're going to have our dinner, then we've got a gap. Then on the Saturday, we're going to revise subject B, you're going to have lunch, then you've got your activity or your job. Then we're going to revise some maths because paper 3 will be coming up the week after. Then we've got a gap, then we're going to have dinner, and then we're going to revise subject A because those exams will be coming up next week. So this is just an idea as to what your timetable might look like. So you can see it's starting to fill up with lots of different activities and lots of different subjects. So make sure you start to fill it up gradually so you know what you're going to do and when. You could have the same weekly schedule every week, and you know that this week I'm going to do these subjects. So you do exactly the same every week, or you can make it more specific depending on what exams you have got coming up when. It is personal preference how you set up this revision schedule. Next, we're going to be specific with what exam paper or topic you are going to do for each slot. Now, this might even be learning key facts or formulas that you need to know for your exam. So you could have already written yourself a list of topics and things, or lists of formulas, lists of facts that you need to learn for this exam. And it could be sitting there memorizing these formulas, working through, flicking through your cards, or flicking through your revision page, or looking through your revision notes to make sure you learn these key formulas. So it's different for each person, and it is different for each slot that you're going to have. So you've got to work out what you're going to do in each slot to help you revise. Now, for any exam, I would always recommend you do some exam papers. Okay, so you can see here I've put in a maths exam paper here. I'm just going to look through the maths. Then I've decided that I couldn't do topic 1 on that exam paper, so I'm going to practice topic 1. Now I'm going to learn key facts and formulas because my exam is in the morning. So I've identified all my key facts and formulas through doing the exam paper and doing this revision here on this topic. Now I'm going to learn these facts and formulas, then I'm going to be ready for this exam here in the morning at this date. You could do a similar thing for your different subjects. So you can take the subject, do an exam paper, then do a topic on it, then memorize your key facts and formulas ready for that exam. So the same will work for any single subject. The exam papers are a fantastic place to start because it gives you what topics do you need to know, what kind of questions do you need to know. Then you can do some specific revision on certain topics, then learn the facts that you need to learn for the exam. So make sure you memorize those steps just before the exam so they're clear in your mind so you know what you're going to do when you come to the exam. So make sure you've written in what you are going to do. So is it an exam paper? Is it a topic? Or is it reviewing key formula and facts? So you write down what works for you and which way round you are going to do your revision. So exam papers, revision by topic, learning key facts and formulas, but you should have already written ages ago writing out those exam papers, exam facts when you're getting to this stage here when we're looking at maths exam papers and we're getting ready to do the exams. The last thing to add to your revision schedule is to add in social time or time to relax. So make sure that you include time to see your friends or your family, whoever you want to see or speak to or whatever you want to do in your own time. Make sure you have some time in your schedule to be able to do the things you want to do as well. This is an example of what your plan could look like when you've put in your time to relax or your social time. So you see the bits in orange, I've made sure there is space for relaxing or social time every single day. There is more at the weekend than there is during the week because during the week you have got school and then you've got revision and then you need time to relax. Your day will be different depending on who you are. Some people like to work early in the morning. Some people like to work late at night. It is personal preference and what works for you is what is best for you. So make sure you make your schedule to fit around your life and what you want to do. But make sure you do include all the key appointments and the key things in this diagram that you can see here. So you've got your school time in there, where are your exams, what subject are you revising when are you eating food and when are you relaxing or when are you seeing your friends and family. So make sure all these things are included. The time is really important written down beside so you know when you are doing these things. And don't beat yourself up if you don't stick exactly to the times that you stated in your plan. It is just a rough guide and gives you a rough indication as to what you're going to be doing. But make sure that you are using this as best you can to make sure that you know what you should be doing and try and stick to it as best possible. Now, when to start revising is crucial. It is personal preference as to when you feel you need to start revising. The earlier you start revising, the better you will do in the exam. So the earlier you start seeing these exam questions, you start preparing for the exam, the better you will be prepared by the time you come to do the exam in May or in June. So make sure you are prepared. So start your revision as soon as possible and make sure you do your plan up until your last exam. Once you finish your last exam, fantastic. You can throw the schedule away. As you go along, tick things off as you go along because you'll feel satisfaction that you have completed each section as you're going along. Try and stick to it as best as you can. But what you've written down, it doesn't matter if you change things around or you want to do things in a different order when you get closer to the time because things are going slightly differently. So it is not set in stone that you must do this. It is your plan. You've got to work things out to make it work for you. So do the best plan for you. Try and stick to it as best you can. Do the revision, put the hard work in, and then when it comes to the exam, you will do amazing. So go for it. The ideal time to revise for is 20 minutes. So you can concentrate for a really good time up to 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, your concentration starts to disappear a little bit. And every person is different. So it's not exactly the same for every person. It's not exactly 20 minutes, but it is a rough guide as to what works for the majority of people. Set yourself a timer either on your phone or wherever you want to have your timer done. It could be an electronic timer, a little stopwatch, whatever you've got to say when you've hit 20 minutes so you know where your 20 minutes is. You've done the best amount of revision you can in that 20 minutes. Then take a little break. So 20 minutes is a good guide to make sure that you have a good effective revision time. Have a little rest and then carry on revising. When you come to have a break, make sure it is a short break, okay, so you can get back to your 20 minutes of revision again. So your quick break could be going to the toilet, it could be to get yourself a quick snack or a drink, it could be to text your friend, it could be to message someone, it could be to play a quick game on your phone, it could be whatever you find useful to help just take your mind off what you're doing for a few minutes and then come back to what you're going to do again in a minute. But in this time, you need to make sure that you are just switched off of what you were doing with the revision. Go for a little walk around the room, a little walk around the block, whatever works for you, just a quick break and then get back to the 20 minutes again. So remember, after you've had your quick break, you get back into another 20-minute chunk. So use this time to do more revision, either on the same topic or a different topic. You choose how you're going to split the time up, but 20 minutes at a time. As you get better at doing the revision, you will be able to push this time limit to be further. Or if you're doing an exam paper, which is an hour or an hour and a half long, you might want to sit and do a whole hour and a half exam paper in one hit, so you know what it's going to be like when you come to do the actual exam. So put yourself in exam conditions as much as possible when it comes closer to the exam to mimic what you're going to be doing when it comes to the exam. As I said before, the ideal length of time for revision is 20 minutes, but it is different for everybody. And some people, it takes 20 minutes for them to even get into what they're doing before they start. So it takes a little bit of time to get ready with getting set up, getting all your stuff out, getting everything that you need, working out what you're going to do. Some people, it takes you 20 minutes before you get started, before you actually start to learn something. So think about what you're learning and how you learn and do something that works for you. Here is a summary on how to plan a revision schedule. First, you need to create or buy a diary with space to write in. Second, you need to write in your exam dates. Third, you need to write in when you're in school or travelling to school. 4, you need to write in your hobbies and your meal times. 5, you need to plan what subjects you are going to revise and when. 6, you need to be specific with what exam paper or topic you are going to do for each slot. And 7, you need to add in social time to relax. So make sure that you have got a balance between work and relaxing, because that will help you prepare for your exams. It is not all work, 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 and it's not all play, play, play. You need to have a balance between both and make sure that you can do both to make sure that you do really well in your exams. If you do have a job, think about how many hours you are working, because sometimes the number of hours you're working doesn't leave you enough time to do any revision, and you need time to put in to pass your exams to be able to move on to the next step of your career, whether that's going to university or whatever level you are going on to, or if you're going to college, whatever you want to do next, make sure that you put in the time now to pass these exams, because you don't want to have to resit them in future years. Remember, do your revision in chunks, 20 minutes at a time, then take a quick break. Then back to 20 minutes, quick break. Make sure you balance the two up so you get the most out of your revision time. And finally, good luck. Hopefully this weekly plan that I've shown you will give you a good idea how to set a revision schedule up for the length of time that you need. This might be 2 months before your exam, it might be longer. It depends on what works for you. So set your revision schedule up week by week so you know what you've got to cover each week. Make sure it's nice and clear. Make sure you use some colour on there so you can see what you are doing each time. Make sure you are setting yourself up well for these exams. If you are prepared before the exam, then the exams will be fine, because you know what to do when you come to the exam, and you will be amazing. You can do it. Okay, just think positive. Make sure you go away and learn all the information you need to do for your exam, and you'll be able to do it. If you found this video useful, please share, like and subscribe so we can all get great at maths.